Hello and welcome to Smooth English. This is the story of Barack Obama, a man who made history by becoming the first black president of the United States. His life is full of challenges, choices, and hope. He was not born into power or wealth. He worked hard, believed in change, and inspired millions of people around the world. Let's begin this journey together. May this story help you grow in language and in heart. Chapter 1. A boy named Barack. Barack Hussein Obama II was born on August 4, 1961, in Honolulu, Hawaii. His name came from his father, Barack Obama Sr., who was born in a small village in Kenya, a country in East Africa. His mother, Ann Dunham, was born in Kansas, in the middle of the United States. She was a kind and curious woman who loved to learn about different cultures. Barack's parents met at the University of Hawaii. His father was one of the first African students at the university. He came to America to study economics and hoped to help his country grow, and was also a student studying anthropology, the science of people and cultures. They fell in love and got married in 1961. But life was not easy. When Barack was just 2 years old, his parents separated. His father left Hawaii and returned to Kenya. Barack stayed with his mother, who worked hard to raise him. He saw his father only once more, when he was 10 years old. That short visit left a strong impression on him, but most of what he knew about his father came from stories and photographs. In 1965, Ann married again. Her new husband, Lolo Sitoro, was from Indonesia. When Barack was 6 years old, the family moved to Jakarta, the capital city of Indonesia. Life there was very different from Hawaii. The streets were busy, the food was spicy, and the language was new. Barack went to school and learned to speak some Bahasa Indonesia. He saw children who had very little. Some didn't wear shoes and some didn't have enough to eat. These experiences opened his eyes to the world's inequalities. Barack lived in Indonesia for 4 years. His mother wanted him to get a good education, so she sent him back to Hawaii when he was 10. He lived with his grandparents, Stanley and Madeline Dunham, who loved him deeply. They were strict but supportive. They believed in hard work and honesty. Barack's grandmother worked at a bank, and his grandfather had served in the army during World War II. Barack went to a private school called Punahou School, one of the best schools in Hawaii. He was one of the few black students there. Sometimes he felt different. He looked in the mirror and saw brown skin, but most of his classmates were white. He asked himself, "Who am I? Where do I fit in?" These questions were not easy. Barack didn't have many role models who looked like him. He missed having a father. He sometimes felt lonely and confused. But he also began to think deeply. He read books, listened to music, and started writing. He wanted to understand his identity and the world around him. His mother helped him see that being different was not a weakness. It was a strength. She taught him to be proud of his roots, to care about justice, and to believe in kindness. She told him, "You can be anything you want, but you must work for it." Barack began to dream. He didn't know yet that he would become president. But he knew he wanted to help people. He wanted to make life better for others. And he wanted to find his place in the world. Not just as a boy with two cultures, but as someone who could bring people together. Chapter 2. Searching for Identity. As Barack grew older, life became more complicated. He was now a teenager at Punahou School, one of the top schools in Hawaii. The classrooms were bright, the teachers were smart, and the students came from wealthy families. Barack was one of the few black students there. He often felt like he didn't fully belong. Sometimes, people asked him strange questions about his skin color or his background. They didn't mean to hurt him, but their words made him feel different. Barack began to wonder, am I African? Am I American? Am I both? These questions stayed in his heart. At school, Barack was quiet but thoughtful. He liked to play basketball with his friends. On the court, he felt free. He didn't have to explain who he was, he could just play. He also loved reading. He read books about history, race, and justice. He wanted to understand the world and his place in it. But Barack also struggled. He sometimes felt lost and confused. He tried to fit in, but it wasn't always easy. He made mistakes. He felt angry at times. He missed his father, who was far away in Kenya. He missed having someone to guide him. His mother, and saw that Barack was searching. She encouraged him to ask questions and think deeply. She woke him up early to study before school. She told him, "Your mind is a gift. Use it well." Barack didn't always enjoy the early mornings, but he remembered her words. When Barack was 10 years old, his father came to visit Hawaii for a short time. They spent a few days together. His father was tall, proud, and full of ideas. He spoke with confidence and told Barack stories about Kenya. That visit was short, but powerful. Barack saw a part of himself in his father. After his father left, Barack didn't see him again. A few years later, he learned that his father had died in a car accident. This news was painful. Barack felt sadness and regret. He wished he had known his father better. But he also felt something else, a quiet strength. He decided to learn more about his roots, to understand where he came from. After finishing high school, Barack moved to Los Angeles to study at Occidental College. It was his first time living on the mainland of the United States. The city was big and busy. Barack met students from many backgrounds. He began to speak out more. He joined discussions about fairness and equality. He started to believe that change was possible. But something inside him still felt unfinished. He wanted to grow more, to challenge himself. After 2 years, he transferred to Columbia University in New York City. There, he studied political science and learned about how governments work. He walked through the noisy streets of New York, thinking about poverty, race, and leadership. Barack was no longer just searching for identity. He was beginning to search for purpose. Chapter 3: Helping People in Chicago. After finishing university in New York, Barack Obama wanted to do something meaningful. He didn't want a job just for money. He wanted to help people. He believed that real change starts in small communities, not in big offices. In 1985, when Barack was 24 years old, he moved to Chicago, a large city in the middle of the United States. He took a job as a community organizer on the south side of Chicago, a place where many families were struggling. The steel factories had closed, and many people had lost their jobs. The neighborhoods were poor, and the schools and housing were in bad condition. Barack worked for a group called the Developing Communities Project. His job was to listen to people, understand their problems, and help them find solutions. He didn't have much money, and he didn't have a fancy office. He walked from house to house, church to church, meeting people and asking questions like, "What do you need? What is not working in your neighborhood? How can we fix it together?" At first, some people didn't trust him. He was young and he wasn't from Chicago. But Barack didn't give up. He listened with respect. He showed kindness. Slowly, people began to open their doors and their hearts. He helped organize meetings between parents, teachers, and city leaders. He worked with churches to improve schools. He helped families speak up about broken buildings and unsafe streets. Barack didn't fix everything, but he helped people believe in their own power. He learned that change takes time. He learned that listening is just as important as speaking. And he learned that even small actions, like cleaning a park or fixing a classroom, can bring hope. Barack later said that his time in Chicago was the best education I ever had. He didn't just learn about politics. He learned about people, their fears, their dreams, and their strength. During this time, Barack also began to think about his future. He wanted to help even more people. He decided to study law so he could understand the rules and fight for justice in a bigger way. But before leaving Chicago, Barack had built something special: trust, friendship, and a deep love for community. He had found his purpose, not just to lead, but to serve. Chapter 4: A Voice of Leadership. In 1988, Barack Obama made a big decision. He left Chicago and moved to Cambridge, Massachusetts to study at Harvard Law School. one of the most famous law schools in the world. He was 27 years old, older than many of his classmates. He had already worked as a community organizer, and he brought that experience with him. At Harvard, Barack was quiet at first. He listened carefully in class and asked thoughtful questions. His professors noticed that he was not only smart, but also calm, respectful, and curious. One professor said Barack had a rare mix of intelligence and maturity. In his second year, something historic happened. Barack was elected president of the Harvard Law Review, a student-run legal journal. This was a very important position, and Barack became the first black person ever to lead the Law Review in its long history. The news made headlines across the country. Barack didn't win because of popularity. He won because he worked hard, built trust, and brought people together. Students from different backgrounds respected him. They saw that he listened to all sides and tried to find common ground. As president of the Law Review, Barack had to read and edit many legal articles. He also had to lead meetings and make decisions. It was a lot of work, but he stayed focused. He believed that law was not just about rules, it was about justice and fairness. Outside of class, Barack continued to think deeply about race, identity, and change. He wrote about his experiences growing up with two cultures. He spoke about the need for unity and understanding. His words were honest and hopeful. After graduating in 1991, Barack returned to Chicago. He could have worked at a big law firm and earned a lot of money, but he chose a different path. He worked as a civil rights lawyer, helping people who were treated unfairly. He also began teaching constitutional law at the University of Chicago, sharing his knowledge with students. Barack was becoming more than a lawyer. He was becoming a leader. People saw that he cared not just about laws but about lives. He believed that everyone deserved respect, no matter their race, income, or background. During this time, Barack also met someone very special. Michelle Robinson, a smart and confident lawyer. They worked at the same law firm. Michelle was Barack's mentor, but soon they became close. They talked about their dreams, their families, and their hopes for the future. Barack and Michelle fell in love. They shared values of service, kindness, and hard work. In 1992, they got married. Together, they would build a life of purpose and partnership. Barack's time at Harvard had opened many doors, but it was his heart, his choices, and his voice that truly shaped his path. Chapter 5. A New Path in Politics. In 1996, Barack Obama took a bold step. He decided to run for a seat in the Illinois State Senate, representing a district in Chicago. It wasn't easy. He had to gather signatures, meet voters, and explain why he wanted to serve. Barack believed that politics could be a tool for change, not just power. He worked hard and won the election. In 1997, Barack became a state senator. He was now part of the government, helping to write and pass laws. He listened to people's concerns about schools, jobs, health care, and justice, and tried to find fair solutions. Barack didn't shout to be heard. He spoke calmly and clearly. He asked questions. He built relationships with other senators, even those who disagreed with him. People began to notice his thoughtful style and his deep care for others. During his time in the Senate, Barack helped pass laws that improved health care for poor families, reformed the criminal justice system, supported education and working families, made campaign finance more honest. He also continued teaching constitutional law at the University of Chicago. He believed that education and public service could go hand in hand. But not everything was easy. In 2000, Barack ran for a seat in the U.S. Congress and lost. It was a painful moment. He had worked hard, but the voters chose someone else. Barack felt disappointed, but he didn't give up. Instead, he learned from the experience. He listened more closely. He focused on what mattered most, helping people and building trust. In 2002, the political landscape changed. Democrats gained more power in the Illinois Senate, and Barack had more chances to lead. He worked on important laws, including one that required police to record interrogations in murder cases, a step toward justice. Barack's reputation grew. People saw him as honest, smart, and hopeful. He didn't just talk about problems, he tried to solve them. At home, Barack and Michelle were raising their two daughters, Malia and Sasha. Family life kept him grounded. Michelle supported his work, and together they taught their children the values of kindness, courage, and service. By 2004, Barack was ready for a bigger challenge. He decided to run for the U.S. Senate, hoping to represent all of Illinois. His journey from community organizer to state senator had prepared him well. He believed that one voice, guided by hope and purpose, could make a difference. Chapter 6. A speech that sparked hope. In 2004, Barack Obama was ready for a new challenge. He ran for a seat in the United States Senate, hoping to represent the entire state of Illinois. His campaign was full of energy and hope. He spoke about unity, fairness, and the power of everyday people. Barack didn't have a lot of money or famous supporters at first, but he had something special, a clear message and a calm, honest voice. He talked about his life, his mixed heritage, his work in poor neighborhoods, and his belief that America could be better for everyone. People listened. They saw a leader who cared deeply and spoke with kindness and strength. Barack won the election with a large majority. He was now a U.S. Senator. But something even bigger happened that year. In July 2004, Barack was invited to give the keynote speech at the Democratic National Convention in Boston. This was a major event, watched by millions of people across the country. Barack was still unknown to many. But that night, everything changed. He walked onto the stage with confidence, but also humility. He began by sharing his story. His father from Kenya, his mother from Kansas, and his journey through life. He spoke about the dreams of his parents and grandparents, and how those dreams shaped his own. Barack said, "In no other country on earth is my story even possible." His words were powerful, filled with hope and honesty. He spoke about unity, not red states or blue states, but the United States of America. He reminded people that we are our brother's keepers. We are our sister's keepers. He believed that caring for others was part of being American. The speech lasted just under 20 minutes, but it left a deep impression. People across the country felt inspired. They saw a new kind of leader, someone who could bring people together, someone who believed in kindness, fairness, and possibility. After the speech, Barack's name was everywhere. Newspapers, TV shows, and magazines called him a rising star. But Barack stayed grounded. He knew that speeches were only the beginning. Real change came from listening, working hard, and staying true to your values. Barack's journey had taken a big leap. From a quiet boy in Hawaii to a powerful voice on a national stage, he was now seen as a future leader. But he didn't rush. He kept learning, serving, and preparing for what might come next. Chapter 7. The Road to the White House. By 2005, Barack Obama was serving as a United States Senator. He worked in Washington, D.C., but still lived in Chicago with Michelle and their two daughters, Malia and Sasha. Life was busy. Barack traveled often, met with leaders, and worked on important laws. In the Senate, Barack focused on issues that mattered to everyday people. He worked on health care for children and families, education and support for teachers, clean energy and protecting the environment, honest government with rules to limit corruption. He also served on the Foreign Relations Committee, learning about other countries and global problems. Barack believed that America should lead with wisdom and cooperation, not fear. As he worked, more and more people began to notice him. His speeches were thoughtful and full of hope. His calm style and clear ideas made people feel inspired. Some began to ask, could Barack Obama run for president? At first, Barack wasn't sure. He was still new to national politics. He had a young family. Running for president would be a huge challenge. But he also saw that the country was divided. People were tired of fighting and fear. They wanted change. Barack talked with Michelle, his friends, and his team. He thought deeply about what kind of leader he wanted to be. He didn't want to run just to win. He wanted to run to bring people together. On a cold day in February 2007, Barack stood in front of the old state capitol in Springfield, Illinois, the same place where Abraham Lincoln had once spoken. He announced his decision. "I'm running for President of the United States." His voice was steady. His message was clear. He spoke about hope, unity, and the power of ordinary people. He said that change doesn't come from Washington, it comes from the people. The campaign began. Barack traveled across the country, meeting farmers, teachers, students, and workers. He listened to their stories. He spoke about building a better future, one with fairness, opportunity, and peace. Many people were excited. They saw Barack as a new kind of leader, someone who could break barriers and bring fresh ideas. But others were unsure. Some said he was too young. Some said America wasn't ready for a black president. Barack didn't let doubt stop him. He stayed focused. He built a strong team. He raised money from small donations. He used the internet to connect with young voters. He spoke with honesty and hope. As the campaign grew, so did the movement. People from all backgrounds joined together. They believed in change. They believed in Barack. The road to the White House had begun. Chapter 8. Yes, we can. Barack Obama's campaign for president in 2008 was unlike any other. He was still a young senator, but his message was strong. Hope, unity, and change. People across the United States were feeling tired of war, tired of division, and worried about the economy. Barack offered something new. A calm voice, a clear plan, and a belief that things could get better. His campaign slogan was simple but powerful. Yes, we can. These three words became a chant, a promise, and a dream shared by millions. Barack's main opponent was John McCain, a respected senator and war veteran. The race was tough. Both men traveled across the country, speaking to crowds, answering questions, and sharing their ideas. Barack's running mate was Joe Biden, a senator from Delaware with many years of experience. Barack's campaign used the internet in a new way. His team created videos, websites, and social media pages to reach young voters. People could donate money online, share messages, and join events. It was a modern campaign, full of energy and connection. He spoke in schools, churches, parks, and stadiums. His speeches were full of hope. He talked about making health care more affordable, creating jobs and helping families, ending the war in Iraq, protecting the planet, bringing people together no matter their race or background. Barack didn't just speak to Democrats. He spoke to everyone. He said, "We are not red states or blue states. We are the United States of America." As the election day came closer, excitement grew. People lined up to vote. Many were voting for the first time. Young people, Black Americans, immigrants, and families all felt that something special was happening. On November 4th, 2008, the results came in. Barack Obama had won. He received over 69 million votes, the most ever at that time. He won 365 electoral votes, far more than needed to become president. That night, Barack stood in Grant Park in Chicago, in front of a huge crowd. His voice was steady, but full of emotion. He said, "If there is anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, tonight is your answer." People cried, cheered, and hugged each other. For the first time in history, a black man had been elected president of the United States. It was a moment of hope, healing, and pride. Barack didn't say the journey would be easy. He said it would take hard work, patience, and unity. But he believed in the people, and the people believed in him. The world watched. From villages in Kenya to cities in Europe, people celebrated. Barack's story had become a symbol of possibility. Yes, we can was no longer just a slogan. It was a promise to build a better future, together. Chapter 9. leading through storms. When Barack Obama became president in 2009, the United States was in crisis. The economy was broken. Banks were failing. People were losing their homes and jobs. Many families felt afraid and uncertain. Barack knew that leading the country would not be easy, but he was ready to face the storm with calm and courage. He began working immediately. His first actions focused on rebuilding the economy and helping people in need. He signed a law to support schools, hospitals, roads, and clean energy. He also helped save two major car companies, protecting thousands of jobs. Barack believed that recovery was possible, but it would take time, teamwork, and hope. One of his biggest goals was to improve health care. In 2010, he introduced a new law called the Affordable Care Act. It helped millions of people get health insurance, including those with low income or serious illnesses. Some people supported the law. Others were unsure, but Barack stood firm. He believed that everyone deserved care and protection. As president, Barack also worked with leaders around the world. He wanted peace, cooperation, and smart solutions. He ended the war in Iraq and focused on fighting terrorism with care and strategy. In 2009, he received the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to build a more peaceful world. But not everything was easy. Many people disagreed with his ideas. Some thought change was happening too fast. In the 2010 elections, Barack's party lost many seats in Congress. It was a difficult moment. Still, Barack did not give up. He listened, learned, and continued to lead with honesty and strength. His first years as president were full of challenges. Yet he remained calm, focused, and hopeful. He showed that true leadership means facing problems with courage, helping others, and never losing faith in the future. Chapter 10. A Legacy of Hope. Barack Obama was re-elected president in 2012. The people had spoken again. They believed in his leadership, his calm strength, and his vision for a better future. His second term began with new challenges and new hopes. The economy was slowly recovering, but many families still struggled. Barack continued to support jobs, education, and health care. He worked to raise the minimum wage and help students pay for college. He believed that opportunity should be open to everyone, not just a few. He also focused on the environment. Barack signed agreements to reduce pollution and protect the planet. He joined the Paris Climate Agreement, a global promise to fight climate change. He said, "We are the first generation to feel the impact of climate change, and the last that can do something about it." During his second term, Barack faced many difficult moments. There were tragedies, mass shootings, racial tensions, and global conflicts. Each time he spoke with compassion and courage. He reminded people to stay united, to listen, and to care for one another. He also supported young immigrants who had grown up in America. He created a program called DACA, which helped them study and work without fear. He believed that kindness and fairness should guide the country's laws. Barack's second term was not easy. Some people still disagreed with his ideas. Congress often blocked his plans. But he stayed focused. He said, "Change is never easy, but it's always possible." In 2016, Barack's time as president came to an end. He had served for 8 years. He had faced storms, made hard choices, and stayed true to his values. He left the White House with dignity, grace, and a deep love for his country. His legacy was clear. He had shown that a black man could lead the United States with wisdom and strength. He had inspired millions to believe in themselves and in each other. He had reminded the world that hope is powerful, and that words like "yes, we can" are more than a slogan. They are a promise. Barack Obama's story did not end with his presidency. He continued to speak, write, and support young leaders. He believed that the future belonged to those who were ready to build it, with kindness, courage, and care. Chapter 11. A new chapter begins. When Barack Obama left the White House in January 2017, he didn't rush back into politics. Instead, he took a breath. After 8 intense years of leading a nation, he chose rest, reflection, and reconnection. with his family, his values, and his dreams. He and Michelle Obama stayed in Washington, D.C., so their youngest daughter, Sasha, could finish high school. They moved into a quiet home in the Colorama neighborhood, far from the noise of politics, but close to the heart of their country. Barack began writing his memoir, A Promised Land, a thoughtful and honest book about his journey, his decisions, and his hopes for the future. Michelle also wrote Becoming, a powerful story of her life, her challenges, and her strength. Their books touched millions and became bestsellers around the world. But Barack didn't disappear. He gave speeches, met young leaders, and supported causes close to his heart. He created the Obama Foundation, a place to inspire and train future changemakers. He also launched My Brother's Keeper, a program to help boys and young men of color find support, education, and opportunity. He traveled, rested, and spent time with Michelle. They laughed, danced, and even tried kiteboarding on a trip with Richard Branson in the British Virgin Islands. Barack said he didn't miss being president. He was enjoying life, reading, thinking, and spending time with the people he loved too. Still, when important issues arose like voting rights, climate change, or racial justice, Barack spoke up. He reminded people to stay hopeful, stay active, and stay kind. He believed that change comes from ordinary people doing extraordinary things. His legacy continues, not just in laws or speeches, but in hearts. In classrooms, libraries, and homes, his story is told as a symbol of possibility. He showed that leadership can be gentle, wise, and full of hope. Barack Obama's life now is quieter, but no less meaningful. He is still building, still dreaming, and still inspiring. His journey reminds us that even after great chapters end, new ones can begin, with purpose, peace, and love. Chapter 12: The Power of One Voice. Barack Obama's story is not just about politics. It is about courage, kindness, and the power of believing in something bigger than yourself. He was a boy who asked deep questions, a young man who listened to others, and a leader who spoke with hope. He did not come from wealth or fame. He came from many places: Hawaii, Indonesia, Kenya, Kansas, and carried many stories in his heart. He faced doubts, losses, and challenges, but he never stopped learning, growing, and caring. As president, he showed that leadership is not about being perfect. It is about being honest, working hard, and lifting others up. He reminded the world that change is possible, even when the road is long. After leaving office, Barack continued to inspire. He wrote, taught, and supported young people. He believed that every person has a voice, and that voice can make a difference. His journey teaches us that no matter where you come from, you can dream big, you can serve others, you can build bridges instead of walls, and you can say with courage and love, yes, we can. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up to let me know. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next inspiring biography. And if this video made you feel hopeful or curious, share it with a friend who loves learning too. Together we grow one story at a time.